Now today we're on board the most expensive add-on airplane ever made for the Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yes everybody, the $120 CSS Boeing 737-500. $120! According to my knowledge, this plane is the second most expensive add-on ever for any flight sim. For the most expensive airplane is the Hotstar Challenger 650, which costs $5 more. But you do have to say that for this $120, you buy the whole classic family, which will consist of 3 airplanes, the 300, the 400, and the 500 with both freighter variant that will come later at no additional cost. You'd have to say, well, this is the most expensive add-on airplane we've ever had, the reputation is not the best at all. According to some, it's a relatively mid-tier airplane that should be a lot cheaper. Also, lots of people on Reddit are saying that the CSS airplane might be an virus. Why? Because the CSS launcher right here, the installer where you buy the airplane, triggers 1,000,000 antivirus warnings on install. Apparently, it reads out some of the Windows installation data, security systems of the internal Explorer, reads the data, Windows installation, so it reads a lot of stuff. People are concerned that this might be malware that they're downloading for $120. Also, the fact that the commercial simulation systems is somehow related to Russia doesn't really help with people being able to trust this. The only way you can install this airplane is by disabling antiviruses. Also, this plane can only be bought via crypto and credit card. So yes, I understand that there's a little bit of shadiness going on here, especially after what happened in 2018 with a company called Flight Sim Labs. They had and still have an Airbus A320 for sale as an add-on for the FSX flight sim, but in the source code it turns out that they had a Chrome password dump that would read all the passwords of your Chrome browser. Apparently that was like anti-piracy stuff, but definitely a little scary. It turns out though that according to what I found out about this installer from CSS, there's nothing malicious going on. I found a Reddit post by a cybersecurity computer science guy that says all the antiviruses are, giving out false positives and thinking this is malware, mainly because the installer drops into a temporary path as unorthodox and was triggering most of the suspicious activity alerts. To practically sum up, the problem why your antivirus software goes off, it's because the installer is not necessarily refined. That's something you do have to say. Now, for the most expensive add-on airplane, for the flight sim, would maybe expect them to do the root installer a bit better, but that doesn't matter. The plane is now installed, and you know what? It's interesting making this review about this very expensive airplane because after all, it's not necessarily expensive because you can buy it in a subscription model for $5 a month, where suddenly the airplane doesn't become so expensive anymore. I feel like the one-time purchase price of $120 is artificially so high so that people sign up for a subscription. I mean, you'd have to subscribe to this thing for 2 years in order to actually make up for the $120. I mean, I don't like subscriptions myself, but let's talk 2 years. I mean, I don't even know if I'll be alive by then. Anyway, I will say that the developers of CSS actually gave me a free license, although that will not change my opinion at all about this product. Anyway, let's go to product, and here we have a livery installer. I've installed Lufthansa for now. It's very easy. They're doing a paint kit, so you'll be able to design your own liveries, which is good, so nothing to worry about at all. So let's see what this airplane has to offer for the most expensive airplane for the flight sim. Anyway, the modeling, I think, is something that, we can all agree to is pretty good. It looks like this good old short 737 back in the good old days when the plane wasn't 50 meters long like it is on the 737 MAX. Also, it is so nice and stubby. It sits very low to the ground. Can you see that? Although it does have the thick NG engine. Now, by the way, this add-on only supports the Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 for now. Now, let's talk about the modeling a little bit further. Here's the nose of the 737-500, and here's the nose of the 737-500, and some people say that it is stretched a little bit too long. And I don't know if the proportions, like some people say the proportions of this plane are a little bit off on the nose part. It does look like it had a little bit of a nose length. Oh, this maybe looks like an A320. What? I think I'm having a stroke here, though. Look, this is what a 737 nose looks like. This is what it looks like here. Okay, maybe it was just the angle. I do have to say, though, yeah, it looks a little awkward. Maybe you guys are up to decide that. I don't know, but I think this is overall relatively good modeling. We can see the text. That's kind of what we want to see in this kind of airplane. Let's go now into the cockpit. And this was where I would have to say, nothing to worry about. I think this can definitely hold up to the PMDG. Of course, course, it's a bit more expensive than the PMDG, although you have to consider this add-on now comes in a package with 3 airplanes included, whereas the PMDG is single purchase. Do you know what I mean? So overall, what you're getting is not as expensive as PMDG. It's, you know, the pricing model is a little bit odd here with this airplane, so it's hard to draw comparisons, really. Okay, anyway, let's turn on this airplane. Sounds are okay. We hear a boop. It's from the APU. Okay, and we can start having that spool up in the background as a noise. Turn on the smoking. You know what? What we're doing here is essentially boring. What I expect of this extremely expensive airplane is lots of features, lots of gimmicks, in fact. I mean, especially with the X-Plane Flight Simulator, for this kind of price, we've taken a look at so many interesting things airplanes can do. So this is now really hardcore mode. We will probably not survive this takeoff. Look, even we have icing on the pitot. The Challenger 650 has a whole FBO menu simulator where you can like sit down for some reason. Bird strike here with windshield chatter. What does that look like? It's a plane that has all the systems simulated that the plane actually has in real life. And this, you know, in terms of the gimmicks, cannot keep up just yet. For example, the first thing you always check in this kind of expensive airplane is, of course, circuit breakers. They don't work yet. And they're definitely planning to add that too. Something else that's not existed in this plane so far is a failure system. That doesn't work yet. They are planning on adding that in, but $120 without the circuit breakers or failures probably cannot keep up. Anyway, let's take a look at the cabin here and maybe try to lock ourselves out. So we're going to turn the flight deck access system right here to on. Here we go. And we can close the door. Nice. And we can turn on the CDSS, which is a camera. Look, there's a camera. It's probably just an image, but it's a camera here showing the flight deck. That is kind of cool. Now, as far as I remember, there's like a switch now to actually lock the door, which should be somewhere right here. We don't have that, and we can already kind of start to tell this plane isn't 100% like it is in real life. But one thing I want to try is not being able to open the door. Okay, it still works. Something I tried to add in as a gimmick here is a code. 55555555. What's the code again? 1. And then press this? Ah! Huh. Oh, that took too long. Alright, let's try again. Ah, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. Normally, let's repeat like an entry denied thing. So that's kind of like a bit of a gimmick. Also, what we have in the lavatory. We can open it, we can close it. It's just very useless, but we can open the toilet and flush it. So, well, this plane's trying to be a little bit gimmicky. For $120, it does lag a little bit. Like, what if you could, you know, open the window blinds and close it? Let me tell you, this is definitely not a bad airplane at all. Right off the bat, we can tell. But probably it's not $120 good. Let's go ahead and maybe turn it on now. So, panel, bright on, background, bright on. Yes. And that actually gets our systems here to run. In order to turn on the screens here, we have to turn up the brightness on these switches here. Look at those turning on, those little screens. In order to get the FMC to light up, we need to turn on the brightness here. Now the systems aren't really done badly. Let's cage. Oh my god, that was crazy. Cage that right off the bat. Again, most expensive airplane. What I'm missing here, there is no fire extinguisher systems. Doesn't work because no failure system is in there as well. Fire! So also no alternate gear extension thing. So you couldn't be able to like simulate Jeju Air now. Womp womp. No, that is clearly lacking. After all, the point of flight simulation is for pilots to train emergency situations in a safe environment. Anyway, what does work is the fire testing. Okay. Fire! Also, what does work is like the stall warning stuff. That's okay. The airspeed is good. By the way, let's get this aeroplane aligned. But something that hasn't worked for me at all is the ground proximity warning system, GPWS. I can't even, I cannot even test those systems. We don't get a gear alert, we don't get a terrain alert, and we don't get a flap alert on this airplane at all, which is a little bit odd. Anyway, this airplane is now turning on, and we can see the good old CRT screen. Long tube TV. And as you can see, the FMC isn't done badly at all. I did make a stream on this airplane though, and I noticed a few bad things. Anyway, we also have, of course, an EFB, which very importantly has solitaire on it. You can play solitaire. Yes, look at that. This is from sort of like an online solitaire, I think, pulling off of. We also have Spade, which is also online, which is why it has ads. tinnitus. Okay, can we press on it? No, okay. Oh, no, we can't. Yes, I'm now on an ad website. Yes, great. But it doesn't work. Can I click on stuff? I think I've broken the Spades app. Oh, I've broken. Gesundheit.de. Oh, shoot. I'm unable to... Oh, I've broken this. No worries, though. Let's maybe do a little bit of a test flight here, just from Innsbruck here to this other airport. We have the CSS 737 Classic already added in as an airframe, so that's good. Let's enter in this route right here. Come on, Lowy. That works totally fine. Now, I would quite like to know how heavy we are for the 0 fuel weight, but we're still stuck on that website. I've cooked the system. Okay, set up the cruise out. Okay, need something like that. What I can tell though is, and I've never flown a real 737-500. This CRT screen seems a little bit too fast, but I'm not sure about that. It's you know, it's very fast. Okay, anyway, let's select a runway right now. But first, let's listen into ATIS. Of course, we're using SayIntentions as our ATC. Okay, great,
sky conditions,
great.
No cloud detected. Temperature 27.
Okay, that's all we need. 1015 in our barrow. And I do like playing around with these manual instruments. You know, this is not poorly done at all. It's just not groundbreaking. Innsbruck Tower, good day. Lufthansa 001 with information Quebec. Request IFR clearance to Samaden.
Lufthansa 001, information Quebec is correct. Clear to Samaden. After departure, fly radar vectors, SMOC-TI departure, runway 8.
Clear to Samaden after departure, fly radar vectors, SMOC-TI, departure runway 8, initial climb to flight level 120. Okay, let's enter that in right now. And let's just quickly skip to departure.
Welcome aboard Lufthansa Flight A6.
Shut up. Now I want to enable fast IRS alignment. That's going to go better. We can configure a few things like what this wallpaper Alpha Juliet India. That has just black on it. Great. Now while we're waiting for the screens to align for this thing to find its location, it's a plane that doesn't have GPS, can you see that these engine instruments are kind of shaking? Which I think is very funny because in real life, when you film a cockpit, it often starts like flimmering and flickering when you have old CRT screens that are not LED. And this I feel like is what is happening here. It's kind of funny. I'm not sure if it's on purpose though to have them shaking like that. But alright, this plane is ready to go now and we can see a little more flickering here and that's kind of what I like to see. So, Tower Lufthansa 001 request pushback and startup. Let's turn on the APU bleed. Yes.
Lufthansa 001. Pushback and engine start approved. Face west.
Push and start approved. Face west. Lufthansa 001. Okay. Now we can do that here using the ground ops. By the way, I've just neglected opening the doors because the doors really don't do much. For example, we can't even put a stair here or anything. The ground handling does have to improve a little bit, to be honest. For example, there also isn't an air start unit you can put in. Not the most significant one I've ever seen. Anyway, here we could select the load. Now it works, and we can select people in our airplane. But we don't need that now. Let's go ahead and just call the tug here. Yes, and that takes a bit of a while. Okay, let's connect the tug. And I'm running on vanilla Microsoft Flight Sim. I haven't been able to connect a tug. Whereas an X-plane with a 777, I can steer the truck myself.
Have destroyed the aircraft.
Shoot, I've crashed into the aircraft. Like, it doesn't do anything. We can just start push. And it's hilarious because there's nothing that actually pushes us. Also, I wish that there was like a way to make it faster or slower because this is like awfully slow. Either way, you can see the right engine is turning slightly because we've got air running into it. Let's go ahead and turn on the fuel now and see the magic of a 737 engine start. It looks, yes. Can you see oil being burned? Oil. Funniest thing is that you can, while this pushback is going, you can actually put on the parking brake and it'll do this. Look. Yes, very realistic pushback behavior. So yeah, the airplane isn't 100% refined, as I'm saying. Now, can anyone in the chat please tell me what the hell this is, by the way? I like how there's quite a few manual things we can play around with. For example, we can also select, look at that. Yes, we can select the speeds here. So V1, V2, V-rotate, or whatever we want. That is very nice. We're still pushing back, but it's taking an extremely long amount of time. So the integrated pushback, no. Yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of this pushback tug. Stop push now. Disconnect, please. I want to get rid of you. Go away. I mean, you're a ghost anyway. Let's turn on the left engine here. Yes, smoke. And slow mode. Now I think it becomes interesting, this model, when you put out the flaps. Like, maybe all the way. Doesn't really matter. This is kind of a modeling thing. Also, the slats deploy. The flaps are on the leading edge of the airplane and they look like this. And this is very normal. It may look a little bit unconventional seeing this. In fact, it may look a little bit broken, but I think this I think this is what it's supposed to look like. All right, anyway, let's go ahead and put the flaps to 15 again and just take off.
Lufthansa 001, runway 08, wind 075 at 6, cleared for takeoff.
Now let's do as told, and by the way, we have no yaw damper on, which is why the flight control, there we go, that's better. Let's do as told and set the speed here to 250 knots, and I've had some hard times with the autopilot, to be honest. Let's see if it works today. All right, full power, I've got a takeoff configuration alert. Don't know why that is. Okay, nice, there we go. Good takeoff happening. With a little bit of stall, and the sounds are really, they are okay. Look, we can get the landing gear up now. Take a look at that animation. Not bad. Speed check, flaps up. And what is interesting to note about this plane is the amount of wing, you know, the shake it has, wing flick, is pretty high. Maybe a little bit over-exaggerated, but it makes the plane look really nice and alive. Now, landing gear is up now. Let's go ahead and trim the airplane out. Hello.
001. Contact departure on 128.9075.
128.9075, Lufthansa 001, bye-bye. Innsbruck radar, good day, Lufthansa 001 at 4,000 feet, climbing to 12,000 feet. Let's go ahead and turn on auto throttle. And it now does this weird thing again where it puts the engine
Lufthansa
to idle
001,
thrust.
Innsbruck radar, not seeing you on radar. Double check 3-3-2-2.
No, but what I'm trying to say about the autopilot is that we're set IAS to 250 knots
Lufthansa
here, our
001,
speed.
Innsbruck radar identified. 4 east of Innsbruck at 4400 feet, QNH 1015, climb flight level 200, turn left heading 275, vectors to Mokti, then own navigation.
Okay, turn left heading 275, climb 220, Lufthansa 001. But yes, what we're doing here is dying because our speed mode doesn't really work. I found a fix is to set this to N1. Which is practically climbing at full power, which is not really happening. We're stalling out. The airplane is killing it. I actually crashed because of that. But honestly, I don't even know if that's a bug or actually just a feature and this is normal and I'm just stupid. All right. Let's not crash now. I want you to climb. Go full power, sir. You're doing fine. Climb flight level 220. Now, since we are flying here, this airplane, of course, has a terrain warning system. It's right there. Problem is, I haven't really gotten it to work. Like, oh, we're getting an overspeed warning. Holy moly, this thing is not working at all. Oh, this is odd now. For some reason, we've got no terrain warning system on now. I've got terrain definitely on, and we're definitely flying close to terrain, very obviously, but it doesn't work. Come on, autopilot, climb a little bit more. You should be fine. Look at that. We're doing practically a stunt. 6,000 feet of vertical. Yes. Are we gonna make it? Are we gonna make? Are you gonna make it? Are you gonna make it? Yes, they are. It's gonna make it. So yeah, sometimes. Shut up. It's fine now. It's fine now. No, but sometimes the terrain warning system doesn't work at all, like it is right now. I think I've got it on. It's literally on right there. Oh. Never mind. It was this dial all along. This dial. Whoopsie daisy. But it doesn't matter. What we didn't hear at all was a terrain warning. Didn't get that. But now it works, the whole thing. I apologize. But now that we're flying a little bit through, you know, some turbulence, we can see that wing shake really nicely. Now, something that I want to show you is that I've had some issues flying this plane. Shut up, lady. We want to fly direct to this waypoint called Mokti right here, and we can do that, enter that in, execute that, and it's supposed to now give us a routing to this waypoint. Indeed, it's done that. In my live stream, it didn't work. It created some sort of weird curve, and something that didn't work at all in my live stream was the navigation mode. The airplane could not follow the magenta line, and I think it's odd. It actually seems to work now, so it's turning left here to get onto the magenta. Oh, never mind. Now it works. It didn't work beforehand. Something that still doesn't work is the auto speed. So if we go 250 knots, oh, never mind. That works too. Okay, now the airplane works all of a sudden. Interesting. So as you can see, this airplane is stable and, you know, things work. Now, oh. Another thing to note is that you can't spawn the You can't spawn this airplane into midair. I think it will die. That's good to know. Can we set the panel state to at least... Oh, I want to skip to land. Oh, come on. Maybe make it not cold and dark. Make it warm and light. Oh, you can't... Oh, well, womp womp then. So no quick landing challenge. They need to update that too. Maybe fly without engines. Can we land that? Yeah, we've got obviously no flight control. That's at least that's some sort of simulated. So that's why we're able to say that this plane is pretty good. It could have definitely been priced half the price. After all, they should have probably stuck to, you know, this model that PMTG is doing where you sell every single airplane as a single thing. That would definitely also relieve the price for now, because this airplane might just be a little bit overpriced for what it can do at the moment. But I'm really interested in seeing some improvements. If you're a big fan of this airplane, you should probably get it, the 737-500. If you are fine with flying the 800 though, you should probably get the PMDG. So I thank you guys so much for watching this little review video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow as always. Good night. Good night. And a special thanks goes out to my members, my supporters, Guns Killer, R27, James Duram, That Dude, Anime Gods of Gaming, Derek, Insider Plane, Nishijitsu Fanner, Professional Jamal, Ryland Williams, and New York. You've got beautiful names.